What's going on, everyone? It's Ryan here with Hertz Labs. Today we're diving into the world of gaming mice, the unsung heroes of our setups. Whether you're a seasoned vet or just a casual gamer, the right mouse can make or break your experience. We're cutting through the industry jargon to make sense of it all, from the feel in your hand to the tech under the hood. Stick around, and by the end of this, you'll be ready to pick a mouse that's not just a computing tool, but something you're excited to grab and use every day. Let's get into it. Starting off, we'll be covering the differences between the two common categories of gaming mice, with the categories being ambidextrous shapes and ergonomic shapes. Ambidextrous mice are designed with symmetry in mind, with the shape theoretically allowing you to have the same grip style whether you're left or right-handed. Their balanced button layout caters to those who prefer a versatile design and allows for many different grip styles. On the other hand, ergonomic mice prioritize comfort by molding to the natural contours of the hand, often featuring a shape that suits the specific grip style like palm or claw. While you can find left-handed ergo mice, the bulk of what's on the market is geared towards right-hand users. These mice are crafted for users who prioritize prolonged comfort during gaming sessions and appreciate a tailored fit to their hand. With that being said, this doesn't mean ambidextrous mice cannot be comfortable. In fact, for someone that has used an ambidextrous mouse for a long time, they may find it uncomfortable to try an ergonomic mouse. Shape and size is personal preference, and while some shapes are optimal, the difference between two people's perfect shape may differ greatly. Mouse weight significantly influences gaming performance. Lighter mice are favored by gamers for their agility, allowing quick and precise movements, which is particularly beneficial in fast-paced genres like first-person shooters. The reduced weight facilitates swift flicks and agile maneuvers, contributing to faster response times and improved aiming accuracy. On the contrary, some users prefer having heavier mice, which promote greater stability with aiming. In gaming, and in generally anything that involves repetition, a heavier mouse can lead to fatigue quicker than a lighter one during prolonged sessions. The choice of an ideal mouse weight is subjective, varying based on personal preference and the specific demands of your usage as well as the type of games you play. Gamers often experiment with different weights to find one that aligns best with their playstyle, providing an optimal balance between speed, control, and comfort. As we head into 2024 and close out on 2023, major mice manufacturers have collectively improved sensor implementation. While every single mouse that makes it to market isn't perfect, the majority of major releases prove to provide competition. Since the release of Logitech's Hero sensor in 2016, other brands have tagged along to manufacture mice that perform as well as wired or wireless tech currently allows. If sensor implementation is something you're worried about, you won't be disappointed from the performance of top-tier releases from brands such as Logitech, Razer, Vaxi, or Zowie, just to name a few. Of course, there are more brands that offer a similar experience, but these are the brands that come to mind when on the topic of a near-flawless sensor implementation. The choice between wired and wireless gaming mice is a pivotal decision that often boils down to the individual preferences and gaming priorities. Wired mice provide a direct and uninterrupted connection, eliminating concerns about battery life and potential interference. They previously were favored for professional gaming, where milliseconds can make a difference. On the other hand, wireless mice offer a greater freedom of movement, reducing cable drag and providing a tidier setup. Advantages in wireless technology have significantly narrowed the performance gap, making them a viable option for gamers who prioritize convenience without sacrificing responsiveness. Ultimately, the decision between wired and wireless hinges on the user's specific gaming needs and the balance they seek between performance and whether or not cable drag will make or break you. Wired mice several advantages for gamers, starting with the convenience of never needing to worry about battery life or interrupted gaming sessions for charging. The stable and consistent power source provided by a wired connection ensures optimal sensor performance, a critical factor in competitive gaming where precision is paramount. Additionally, wired mice boast lower latency, delivering near instantaneous response times compared to their wireless counterparts. The absence of potential interference issues further solidifies their reliability, making them an excellent choice in environments with multiple electronic devices. With a typically lighter weight and a more cost-efficient price point, wired mice offer a straightforward and dependable solution for gamers who prioritize consistent performance without the need for frequent charging or potential wireless disruptions. Of course, the largest drawback when it comes to wired mice is, you guessed it, the The wire. It's no secret that wireless mice have an unparalleled feeling of freedom on the pad. Not all wires on gaming mice are made the same. Generally speaking, you should stay away from traditional rubber cables if you can. Most manufacturers have taken note from the aftermarket and started to produce cables that mimic the characteristics of aftermarket cable brands such as Dream Cables and Lethal Gaming Gear cables. Of course, if the mouse you desire to get has a cable that is lackluster, it might be worth looking into swapping the stock cable out for an aftermarket one. If you are using a wired gaming mouse in 2023 or even 2024, you should definitely look into purchasing a mouse bungee, as they greatly reduce the amount of cable drag you feel while gaming. The wireless implementation of a mouse can make or break a mouse. Luckily, most manufacturers are doing a decent job at keeping up with what's possible. These manufacturers usually work closely with sensor companies, if they don't make the sensor themselves, to ensure that the sensor functionality in their mice is working as it should. Some of the companies that get an A+ here are Razer, Zowie, and Vaxi. You will find scenarios where certain sensors perform poorly on certain mouse pads, for instance, most notably speaking of the GPX's spin-out problem on certain pads. The easiest way to verify if your soon-to-be mouse and mouse pad will work is just to Google if someone else has the same setup and if they've had any issues with it. Polling rate, measured in hertz, is a fundamental aspect of gaming mice performance. It denotes how often the mouse reports its position to the computer. A higher polling rate, such as 1000 Hz, means the mouse updates its position 1000 times per second, resulting in a smoother and more responsive cursor movement. Gamers, especially those engaged in competitive play, often prefer a higher polling rate to minimize input lag, ensuring their in-game actions mirror their physical movements with exceptional accuracy. In the past couple of years, manufacturers have been experimenting with polling rates higher than 1000 Hz, such as Razer's wired Viper 8K, as well as 4 and 8K wireless mice such as the DeathAdder V3 Pro, Viper V2 Pro, and Viper Mini Signature Edition. The theory behind a higher polling rate on mice is great, but in practice these settings give diminishing returns. Running your polling rate at a higher value will in turn update the amount of times your mouse cursor position reports to your computer. A drawback of running your mouse at a higher polling rate is that it will drain the battery, if wireless, of your mouse, thus causing you to charge your device more often. I strongly encourage you to check out Optimum Tech's video on polling rate. He does a great job of explaining and showcasing just how different polling rates perform on various refresh rates. For the majority of users, it would be very hard to spot the difference between 4000 and 8000 Hz. It is a nice option to have available to you, but I wouldn't let this specific setting be the deciding factor on what you choose to use or buy. Generally, a polling rate of 1000 Hz will treat you well even on high refresh rate monitors. Of course, if you already have a mouse that has this functionality, play around with what setting feels best to you. The mouse and mouse aftermarket accessory industry has come a long way in 5 to 10 years. Companies have started to put an emphasis on what they're putting on the bottom of their mice. This can be thanks to the massive explosion of aftermarket mouse skates, which has in turn helped companies realize what enthusiasts want. Of course, with all this being said, there are still plenty of mice on the market with lackluster skates. But what qualities make one pair of skates better for you than another? Well, for starters, shape. The shape of a skate directly correlates to how your mouse will feel gliding across your pad. Your mouse pad somewhat dictates what footprints of skates feel like. For instance, if you own an extra soft mouse pad, you may want to stay away from dot-styled skates, as they may dig in deeper than a large footprint design. Material also plays a big role in how your mouse glides across your pad. By far, the most common material used is PTFE. You will find there are varying levels of glide depending on the company or the makeup of the PTFE itself, which is why you'll notice black, white, and even gray mouse skates. Generally speaking, as long as you have rounded edges on your mouse feet, you will have a decent experience. If it turns out the mouse you have been looking to purchase has skates that are too slow or fast, or even just bad quality, fear not, as there are plenty of aftermarket companies that design and manufacture skates for the majority of mice produced. In this aftermarket, you can find mice feet that are geared towards speed, control, and everything in between. With one of the latest industry trends being lighter mice, sometimes corners are cut to achieve the lightest weight possible. This is most notable with the release of the DeathAdder V3 Pro developing a creaking issue after many hours of use, as well as early batch mice such as the ULX. If solid build quality is something that you value, you won't be disappointed from brands such as Vaxi or Zowie. There are other manufacturers that produce mice that are close to the build quality of these two, but these brands blow the majority of the others in the space out of the water. Quality control is also something to take into account as well. Be wary to be an early adopter of any new release. In the past, new to market mice have proven to be plagued with quality control issues. Do your research and watch reviews to ensure you make an informed decision. I hope you found something of value in this video and at the very least learned something you didn't know before. I'm excited to see how the mouse market will shape up in 2024. Things have been looking pretty good for us consumers. As always, thank you for watching. Please feel free to check out my Windows and optimization guide found in the card showing on the screen.